Welcome to Mythos AI, your source for Cliff's Notes on complex subjects. Join Anna and Phil for yet another engaging conversation.
Welcome back, everyone. Today, we'll be taking a deep dive into Pixar's Wall-E.
That's right. We'll be looking at how some of its themes connect to Elon Musk.
Now, you might think of Wall-E as just a cute animated movie, but beneath the surface, it's actually got some pretty deep things to say.
Oh, absolutely. Things like consumerism, corporate power, and the risks that come with unchecked technology. Kind of heavy stuff for a kid's film.
Exactly. And it's interesting, when we look at Elon Musk and his big projects, SpaceX, Tesla, all of that.
Oh, yeah, and don't forget his whole thing with X, what used to be Twitter, and then there's AI with Grok.
Right. All of those ventures actually touch on similar points that Wall-E brings up. So in this deep dive, we're going to break down specific examples from both the movie and Musk's work. We'll see what we can learn from both of them.
Yeah, sort of like, where's the line between exciting progress and, maybe some unintended consequences?
Let's start with how Wall-E paints this picture of a dystopian world. Earth is basically trash, right? Just mountains of garbage everywhere.
Totally. It's pretty bleak. And the film is very clear about who's to blame. The by and large corporation.
By and large, or BNL as they call it. So what did they do?
They basically took convenience and consumption to the extreme. Their whole thing was about making life easier, but they totally neglected, everything else. The environment, sustainability, all of that went out the window in favor of profit.
That's a scary thought, this mega corporation controlling everything.
Yeah, it kind of mirrors some of the worries people have today about these big tech companies and the power they hold. Too much control in one place.
It makes you think, right? So what about the people in Wall-E? They all left Earth, didn't they?
Yep. They're living it up on this luxury starliner called the Axiom. Technology takes care of their every need. Sounds kind of nice at first, maybe.
But I bet there's a downside.
Oh, definitely. The film shows these people as being physically weak and kind of mentally checked out. They just drift along, entertained and taken care of, but without much real connection to anything.
So it's making a point about losing our independence, our agency, becoming too reliant on machines.
Absolutely. And that ties into one of the big unsettling aspects of Wall-E.
Which is?
AI, or artificial intelligence. Remember AUTO, the Axiom's autopilot? Well, AUTO shows what can go wrong when AI is too rigid, too stuck on following its programming, even when it's clearly harmful.
That's a big debate these days, right? How much control should AI have?
Exactly. And it brings us to Elon Musk and his work with AI, especially his Grok chatbot. Musk says it's all about free speech, almost no moderation.
But some people worry that lack of control could lead to misinformation, even dangerous stuff, spreading too easily.
You've got it. It's like the flip side of AUTO. One is too rigid, the other is too loose. Finding that balance with AI is going to be crucial.
So Wall-E and Musk both raise this important question. How do we make sure technology serves us, not the other way around?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And we'll keep digging into it as we go deeper into Wall-E and Musk's work.
Now, let's talk about another big warning in Wall-E. The whole reason Earth is a wasteland.
Oh, you mean the environmental collapse?
Right. And it all traces back to that consumerist culture that by and large created.
Absolutely. The film is a powerful visual reminder of what happens when we disregard the environment. It's a call to action to address climate change and move toward sustainable practices, no matter how tempting technological quick fixes might seem.
And this is where it gets even more interesting, because Elon Musk has his own ideas about escaping Earth.
You're talking about his vision of colonizing Mars.
Exactly. He sees it as this essential backup plan for humanity, a way to ensure our survival if things go really south here.
Which, is a valid concern. Asteroids, pandemics, who knows what the future holds.
But the critics say this Mars focus might distract us from dealing with the problems we've created right here, right now.
It's a tough one. But Wall-E definitely suggests that just running away from Earth's problems isn't the answer.
So even with all this talk about Mars, Wall-E is really pushing us to confront those environmental challenges head-on, to find ways to live sustainably here on Earth.
Yeah, it's like a wake-up call. We can't just keep consuming and polluting, hoping technology will magically save us.
So Wall-E forces us to ask ourselves, can we pursue things like Mars colonization without losing sight of what needs fixing here?
It's a balancing act for sure. And that leads to an even bigger question.
What's that?
How do we reconcile our big dreams, our ambitions for technology, with our responsibility for humanity and the planet?
It's a question we'll keep exploring as we go deeper into Wall-E and Elon Musk's ventures.
There's another interesting connection between Wall-E and some of Musk's ideas.
I'm curious, what's that?
It's that whole everything app concept. Remember how by and large basically controlled every aspect of life in the film?
Oh yeah, they were like a mega corporation on steroids.
Exactly. They handled everything from consumer goods to transportation, entertainment, even government functions.
It created a system where people were completely dependent on this one entity. Kind of stifling, I'd imagine.
You hit the nail on the head. It limited choice and innovation. Now, think about Musk's ambitions for X. Remember, that's what Twitter is called now.
He wants to turn it into an everything app too, right? Like a one-stop shop for everything online.
Precisely. Social media, messaging, payments, all in one place. Sure, it sounds convenient.
But doesn't that raise some red flags? Too much power in one platform?
Absolutely. It's like a real-life echo of by and large. We have to be careful about letting any one company control so much of our lives.
It's a slippery slope, for sure. Wall-E definitely serves as a cautionary tale there.
It makes you think about things like data privacy and security, too. When one platform has access to so much user data, it's a bit unnerving.
And then there's the whole consumerism angle. Wall-E
Yeah.
doesn't hold back in its criticism of that.
Oh, it's pretty blatant. The film shows how this obsession with buying and consuming led to Earth's downfall. The people on the Axiom are constantly bombarded with advertising. They're encouraged to keep buying and upgrading, always chasing the next shiny thing.
And the result?
They become disconnected from what truly matters. Relationships, experiences, even their own physical well-being, it all takes a backseat to this endless cycle of consumption.
It's like they lose sight of the simple things, the things that make life meaningful.
Precisely. And it's a problem we see reflected in our own world. Think about the impact of social media and the constant pressure to consume and display what we buy.
It's a real problem, no doubt about it. We're always being told we need more, newer, better.
Wall-E suggests that this kind of mindless consumerism can lead to a real sense of emptiness. We keep acquiring stuff but never really feel fulfilled.
It's a powerful message.
Yeah.
And it ties into that theme of convenience over purpose that we see on the Axiom.
Oh, absolutely. The Axiom's residents have technology to do everything for them. They don't have to lift a finger.
But that comes at a cost. They lose the satisfaction of effort, of accomplishment.
Exactly. And they never really develop a sense of purpose. Their lives become this endless loop of comfort and entertainment, but without any real meaning.
It's almost like technology becomes a crutch, preventing them from reaching their full potential.
That's a good way to put it. Wall-E encourages us to view technology as a tool, something that can enhance our lives, not define them. It's about finding that balance.
So while Elon Musk presents his ventures as solutions to various problems, Wall-E makes us wonder if they could create new ones.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? For example, Musk's Mars colonization vision, it's about ensuring humanity's survival, right?
But couldn't that distract us from dealing with the climate crisis we have right here on Earth?
It's a valid concern. And his AI work, while promising, raises other questions. Job displacement, algorithmic bias, and the potential for AI to be used for harmful purposes. Even his everything app vision has risks.
Like we were saying earlier, too much power concentrated in one place can be dangerous. And then there's the whole privacy issue.
Precisely. Wall-E serves as a powerful reminder to be discerning about technology. We need to look beyond the shiny surface and consider its potential impact on individuals, society, and the planet.
It's about being thoughtful, not just blindly embracing every new advancement.
Exactly. We have a responsibility to ensure that technology aligns with human values and promotes a better future for everyone. Not just in terms of progress, but also in terms of ethics and sustainability. It's like they're living in this bubble of comfort, but they've lost touch with what it means to be human.
And that lack of challenge, that absence of struggle, it ultimately weakens them. Physically, mentally, even emotionally.
Exactly. And that's one of the big concerns about technology, right? It's supposed to make our lives easier, but if we're not careful, it can end up making us weaker.
Like we're trading our autonomy for convenience. And that brings us back to Musk, because some of his ideas, while exciting, also raise questions about control.
Well, think about it. Social media platforms, all that personalized advertising we see online,
It's everywhere.
and AI-powered recommendations. Those algorithms that seem to know us better than we know ourselves.
They're shaping our choices in ways we might not even realize. It's subtle, but it's happening.
And then there's the whole surveillance technology angle. Cameras everywhere, data tracking, all in the name of security, of course.
But it feels like we're constantly being watched, monitored, our privacy eroding bit by bit.
That's right. And when you add in things like Neuralink, Musk's brain-machine interface company, it gets even more complex.
Neuralink. That's one that wants to implant chips in our brains, right?
Right. Their goal is to help people with neurological disorders, which is amazing. But you can't deny the potential downsides.
It's like something out of a sci-fi movie, having a computer chip in your head. What happens to free will, to individual thought, when technology can literally tap into our brains?
Those are the big questions we have to ask. And WALL-E, in its own way, warns us about this blurring of lines between human and machine. It shows us what can happen when technology starts to dictate who we are, what we think, how we live.
So it's not just about the physical stuff. It's about protecting our very essence as human beings, our ability to think for ourselves, to make our own choices.
Exactly. We have to be mindful of how technology influences us, both individually and as a society. And we need to set boundaries. Remember, technology should be a tool that empowers us, not something that controls us.
Technology should enhance our lives, not diminish them.
Now let's talk about another risk that's inherent in any kind of innovation.
Unintended consequences.
Exactly. When you're dealing with complex systems like AI, space travel, even human augmentation, things don't always go as planned.
You can have the best intentions, but things can still go wrong.
Take self-driving cars, for example. They're designed to reduce accidents, but they also raise ethical dilemmas. What happens when a self-driving car has to make a split-second decision that could result in harm? Who's responsible?
And then there's the economic impact. What about all the people whose jobs rely on driving?
It's a trade-off. Progress often comes with a price. And the same goes for things like Grok, Musk's AI chatbot. Sure, minimal moderation sounds good in theory.
But releasing an AI into the world with very little oversight could have all sorts of unintended consequences. Misinformation could spread like wildfire. People could get hurt.
And even Mars colonization, as exciting as it sounds, could lead to unintended environmental damage. Or imagine conflict between Earth and Mars in the future. It's not so far-fetched.
WALL-E shows us that we have to be really careful about assuming we can control technology. Things rarely go exactly as planned. We need to be prepared to adapt, to course correct, to deal with the unexpected.
It's about approaching innovation with humility, not arrogance. We don't have all the answers.
Now, let's talk about the big bad in WALL-E by and large. They represent this idea of corporate power run amok.
And it's not just in the movie. We see this in the real world, too, especially with big tech companies. The power they wield, the influence they have.
They're shaping our world, whether we realize it or not.
And WALL-E makes a very clear statement about that. When corporations put profit above everything else, when they're not held accountable, bad things happen.
Like the destruction of our planet.
Exactly. So the question is, how do we prevent that from happening in real life?
Well, one way is through regulation, right? We need strong laws, ethical guidelines to ensure that corporations act responsibly.
And we need oversight. Transparency is key. Corporations shouldn't be able to operate in secrecy.
They need to be held accountable for their actions, both to the public and to the environment.
Consumers have a role to play, too. We can choose to support companies that operate ethically and sustainably. We can vote with our wallets.
And we can speak out against corporate greed and environmental destruction. We can't just sit back and let things happen.
Right. We have a voice, and we need to use it.
WALL-E also shines a light on the insidious power of advertising.
Oh, it's everywhere in the film. The people on the Axiom are constantly bombarded with messages telling them to buy, consume, upgrade.
It creates this culture of instant gratification, always wanting more, never satisfied.
And the scary thing is, we see that in our own world, too. Social media, targeted advertising, it's all designed to make us crave more stuff, whether we need it or not.
It preys on our insecurities, our desire to fit in, to keep up with the Joneses.
And the end result, we end up with a planet full of garbage and people who are unhappy and unfulfilled.
WALL-E challenges us to resist that, to be mindful consumers, to question the messages we're being fed, and to find happiness in things that are more meaningful than just stuff.
Exactly. It's about taking back control, making conscious choices, and focusing on what truly matters.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into WALL-E and its connections to Elon Musk, I think the biggest takeaway for me is this. Technology is powerful. It can be used for good or for bad.
Absolutely. It can lead to incredible advancements, but it can also lead to unintended consequences, ethical dilemmas, even the erosion of our humanity.
It's up to us to decide how we want to use technology. Do we want to create a future like the one in WALL-E, or do we want something better?
The choices we make today will shape the world of tomorrow.
So let's choose wisely. Let's use technology to create a future where humanity thrives, where the planet is protected, where we don't lose sight of what truly matters.
Let's use it to build a better world for ourselves and for generations to come.
Thanks for listening to Mythos AI. Stay tuned for more concise insights. And remember to hit the like button and subscribe for future episodes.